When freedom trembled, one man stood tall. This is the rise of a legend.
Sir, no, sir!
The year was 1775. America, a collection of colonies, dared to dream of freedom. They chose George Washington, a tall Virginian with quiet strength. He was to lead a fledgling army against the most powerful military force on Earth. His new Continental Army was a ragtag collection of farmers, blacksmiths, and shopkeepers. They lacked training, discipline, and proper equipment. Against them stood the British Redcoats, seasoned professionals. Washington knew this. The weight of it settled upon him. He had experience from the French and Indian War, but felt his own limitations keenly. Yet he accepted the call with a profound sense of duty. The very idea of challenging Great Britain was audacious. 13 disparate colonies taking on a global superpower. Many deemed it madness, but the spirit of liberty was a powerful current. Washington embodied this spirit. He understood that failure meant not just defeat, but the crushing of a dream. The hopes of a new world rested squarely upon his broad shoulders. He would not flinch from the challenge. George Washington grew from the rich, red soil of Virginia. He loved his Mount Vernon estate. He was a farmer, a planter. This connection to the earth shaped him. It gave him a practical mind, a steady patience. He learned the value of hard work, of perseverance. Before he was a general, he was a surveyor. He mapped vast tracts of uncharted land. This work demanded precision, resilience. He faced dangers in the wilderness and learned self-reliance. His first taste of military life came during the French and Indian War. He was a young officer in the Virginia Regiment. He saw British methods, strengths, and weaknesses. He learned about leading men in difficult conditions. Then came the call from the Continental Congress. This planter, this surveyor, was asked to lead an army. Men looked to him and saw a leader they could trust. The early years of the Revolution were a brutal education. Washington faced setback after setback. The British pushed the Continental Army back. New York was lost. Fort Washington fell. The American cause seemed to flicker like a dying candle. Retreat followed retreat. The soldiers were disheartened, weary. Some deserted. As the bitter winter of 1776 descended, morale plummeted. The army was shrinking. Washington knew something drastic was needed. A bold stroke. A victory to rekindle hope. He conceived a daring plan. On Christmas night, he would lead his men across the ice-choked Delaware River. They would attack the Hessian garrison at Trenton, New Jersey. The crossing was an epic feat of endurance. They achieved complete surprise. The battle was swift, decisive, a stunning American victory. It was a profound psychological boost. The victory at Trenton changed everything.
Sir, no, sir!
The winter of 1777 to 1778 found the Continental Army at Valley Forge. It was not a battle, but a test of sheer human endurance. The conditions were appalling. The men lived in crude log huts. They faced biting cold, relentless snow. Food was scarce, many went hungry. Shoes had worn out, leaving bloody footprints in the snow. Disease ran rampant through the camp. Thousands of soldiers perished that winter, not from enemy bullets, but from cold, hunger, and sickness. Lesser men might have given up, but Washington was there. He shared their privations. He rode through the camp daily, his presence a silent source of strength. He tirelessly petitioned the Continental Congress for supplies. He brought in Baron von Steuben, a Prussian officer. Von Steuben drilled the men relentlessly. Amidst the suffering, a new army was being forged. Spring eventually came to Valley Forge. The army that marched out was smaller, but tougher.
Sir, no, sir!
The long, arduous years of war continued. There were more battles, more hardships, but the tide was slowly turning. The French alliance brought crucial support. Washington's army fought with growing confidence. Then came Yorktown in 1781. The combined American and French forces trapped the British Army under Lord Cornwallis. The siege was relentless. Finally, the British were forced to surrender. The impossible had happened. The world watched in astonishment. The victory at Yorktown was the decisive blow. It effectively ended the war. The colonies had won their independence. Washington was hailed as a hero. Some even whispered of making him a king, but Washington would have none of it. He believed in a government of the people, by the people. He stunned the world by resigning his commission. He returned to his beloved Mount Vernon. He sought only to live as a private citizen, but his country would call upon him again. He was unanimously elected as the first president of the United States.
They didn't just rise for themselves, They rose for you. Proof that greatness isn't given. It's earned, in the dark, in the dirt, in the doubt. Now it's your turn. Rise no matter what. This is Rise Verse.